Hello everyone, welcome to TspApp. Today we are going to study class 8 social science chapter number 2, that is Reshaping India's Political Map. This chapter consists of the medieval time period of history in India, and the time period of medieval history is actually a little large, due to which this chapter is going to be a little longer and larger. And I have tried to break this chapter in these parts so that you can easily understand whatever we are going to study. We will first start with the Delhi Sultans. Okay, you have heard about Sultans, Delhi Sultanate. So we will study about Delhi Sultans. Then we will see Vijayanagar Empire. If you have heard the term, name of the city called Hampi, we will study about Vijayanagar Empire. Then we will study about Mughals. Okay, we will study Mughals, and then we will study administration. How was the kingdom administered by the ruler, by the Sultan? And at last we will end the chapter with the people's life. How did the people live in those time period? Okay, so let's start with reshaping India's political map. Okay, reshaping of India's political map. Do you know what is the meaning of the term political map? So if you have bought the political map of India, you know that a political map is a map of India that consists of the borders. The borders of the states, borders of the countries are made in the map. Okay, so political map of India is reshaping. Matlab, what is the meaning? The shape of the map, the boundaries, the territories of kingdom is changing very frequently. Now we are studying about a time period that is called the medieval time period. Okay, medieval. How do we define the term medieval, or what is the meaning of the term medieval period? Let's understand this with a simple timeline. Do you know that meaning of the term history? What is history actually? So suppose this is a timeline, and this is the time from when humans started writing, right? We get the written sources of evidences like inscription, manuscripts. Okay, so this is the time period when humans started to write. Whatever time period is after this, we call it history. And whatever is the time period before this time period is called the prehistory. Okay, the time period before is called prehistory. So if you know about Stone Age, the Stone Age will come under prehistory, whereas other history that we are going to study right now will come under history, this part. Now this history is further classified or categorized into three categories. First is the ancient history. I will write with AN, ancient history. Ancient in the sense it was very old. Okay, ancient history. Then we have another history which is very recent to us, which is very new. We will call it modern history. When we have new inventions happening, people getting more educated, societies are changing. And the time period which is between modern and ancient is called the medieval history. It is the middle part, medieval history. In medieval history, we do not get to see any significant advancements in technology or any special changes, but it has some its own special characteristics. We'll study this right now. Okay, now the question arises, who classified this history into ancient, medieval, modern? This classification was actually done by the European historians, and Indians just adopted it. Now there is a problem. We call the time period of ancient as that time period when humans were not that much developed, and in medieval a little developed, and in modern development started. Development in the sense people became educated, new inventions, new technology were coming. Okay, can we say that the same time period, same classification, or a specific country was ancient in this time period and modern in this time period, the same time period can be applied on all the countries of the world? No. Every country has its own periods of advancements, new changes, new time periods of history. Okay, so that's why this term European origin has a European origin, and in Europe the time period of medieval is from 5th century CE to 14th to the 16th century CE. Whereas in India's case, we classify the time period of medieval to be from 11th to the 17th century. So you can see how different this time period has become. In Europe, they say, the historians of Europe say that Europe was medieval in the 5th century itself. Whereas in India, we believe that this time period of medieval is from 11th century. 11 to the 17th century. The word 17 is actually hiding. So you can see 11 to the 17th century. This is the whole concept of medieval period. And we have understood how different historians are classifying. And I would like to inform you that historians think that in the 5th century, in the time period from 5th century to the Renaissance, that is 14th to the 16th century, this time period, in this time period, Europe was in a dark age. You can see the word dark age. Because there were many problems occurring in those time periods in Europe. Okay. So we cannot apply the same dark age onto India. That's why we have classified the medieval time period. We have given different date to the medieval time period. Okay. Now let's move on to the next thing. Next slide. Now we have this time period. The main characteristics of this time period was that the early medieval period saw a lot of foreign invasions. Foreign invasion. What is invasion? Invasion means when people come and they attack on another country, they attack on other kingdoms. So in this time period, India wasn't just fighting in itself. The kingdoms were not just fighting with their neighbors. They were fighting with foreign tribes, foreign kingdoms. How can we say that? Do you know that we have a special geography of India? So you can see this map of India. Do you know that we have Himalaya mountains here? Okay. What is the benefit of having a mountain on one side? The benefit is that this mountain will act like a wall, like a protective wall. It will protect us, protect India from invasions from this part of the country. Okay, so people will not be able to, the new kingdoms, though the kingdom they want to expand, they won't be able to come cross India and attack countries or attack the kingdoms here. Okay, because there is a mountain, there is a whole mountain chain, mountain ranges here. Okay, so Himalayas has acted like a barrier. Now if you see the map of India, you can see that here we have Bay of Bengal and here we have Arabian Sea, and the only place from where India is open, or the gate to our house is open, is from this part. This is the northwest part of India. From this part we will see attacks, we will see invaders coming to India from this part, especially from Afghanistan, from a special tribe called the Turk. Okay, we will come to this tribe right now. We will just understand that how tribes are coming from where place, from they are coming from this place. Okay, and what is the main mountain or from main place from where they can enter through enter this country? They can enter in the India from the Hindu Kush mountain, which is located somewhere here, as I have made a circle, Hindu Kush mountain. Okay, let me move to the next slide so that you can see. Okay, so origin and nature of traders, they are coming from a mountain called Hindu Kush mountains. So Hindu Kush mountains. And I also want to mention here that in those time period when we say India wasn't just this colored part. India consisted of the Pakistan part also. It consisted of some part of Afghanistan also. It consisted of Bangladesh also. So India in those time period was actually very large. Okay. So the mountain or the place from where they are able to come, that is the Hindu Kush mountain. Rest of the part we also have here mountains here, or there is the desert here. We have Thar desert here. So that's why they are coming from the Hindu Kush mountains. Who are the people who are coming? You can see in the image who are the people. These people are actually called the Turkic. Okay, Afghans. Do you know the name of the country? Turkey or Turkey? That country, the people of from the area of Turkey to Siberia are called Turkic. So not just Turkey country, but the whole Central Asian part. I will mark it here so that you can easily understand. This is the world map, and here we have India. Here we have the mountains, the Himalayan mountains, and the people who lived in this part are called the whole part are called the Turkic tribe. Turkic, Turk. Turk. Okay. And the people who are coming from Afghanistan to attack in India, they are called the Afghans. Okay. We also have some Arab, some dynasty who will Sayyid dynasty who will claim that they are Arab. Okay. So there are different tribes of the world, different tribes that are coming and attacking in India. They are called invaders, invasions. Their action is called invasions. Okay. What is the main target? Why are they coming to India? Can you see the image? How they are collecting the gold, the silver vessels. India was a country of wealthy people. It was a country of wealth. It was a country which was called the Golden Bird. So that's why these things attracted the people of the Turk or Afghans to come to India and attack in India. Then they wanted something called territory. What is territory? They wanted to expand their kingdom. They want to expand the area of their kingdom. Okay. So that's why they attacked India. And the third reason is simple, for spreading their own religion. They are mostly from the Islamic tribes. They are mostly from Islamic religion. So they wanted to spread their religion here in India, because India was a country which was dominated by Hindus. Okay. We have special evidences given here in your book. Also we have the NCERT book picture here. So this picture shows the Qutub Minar. Qutub Minar was built in the time period by Qutubuddin Aibak. He was one of the Delhi Sultans. So he was Islamic. Okay, he was Muslim, and he built a mosque called, I will highlight here, Kuwait ul Mosque. Okay, Kuwait ul Mosque. That is the might of this. That is translated as might of Islam. Now we have the evidences of some symbols which are used in the pillars of the mosque, in the complex of the mosque. We have the symbols of bells, the same bells which are found in temples. We have the floral patterns of lotus. Okay, so these are the different architectural evidences that suggest that this mosque was built using the remains of temples. So we also have a special description and inscriptions which say that there were 27 temples in this area which was destroyed by the kings to build this mosque. Okay, so the 27 destroyed Hindu temples and Jain temples were used for making the mosque. Okay. And this was actually called the Vishnu temple in those time period. Now you have understood why the invaders are coming to India. We have understood from where they are coming, and we have understood the different tribes that are coming. Next, we have a little set of dates. We will come to these dates at the last of the chapter, because this consists of the summary of the whole chapter. Okay, if we will study this, it is like the summary of the whole chapter. So we will come to it after we have completed all the topics. Okay, so let's move on to our first king who came to India. Now these kings can be classified in two groups. One is called the Delhi Sultans. Oh, okay, they call themselves Sultan. And another category is the kings who were called the Mughals. Okay, we'll first start with the Delhi Sultan, because they were the first to invade to India. They were the first who will attack in India. The first dynasty that came to India was called the Mamluk Dynasty. Okay, this is Mamluk Dynasty. What is the meaning of Mamluk? Mamluk means slave dynasty. In those time periods, there was a system where a king, if a king defeated another king, so the whole kingdom, that the defeated kingdom will become, the whole people of that kingdom will become slave. They will be used as a slave for the kingdom that is won. So we can say these people were at a point they were defeated by some king. Okay, so Mamluks were the slave dynasty, and they were the first rulers who came to India. They set up their kingdom in here in India. These were trained soldiers. They were good at fighting. They were trained soldiers, and they rose to power because of their talent and leadership, and also because being obedient to the ruler also helped the slaves to gain a special status. So these were the reasons why Mamluk got so prominent, they got so dominant, that they captured this Delhi, the city of Delhi, and they set up a dynasty. What is a dynasty? Dynasty is a whole set or series of rulers of a specific family. Okay, so we have the Kutubuddin Aibak, the first ruler who will come to Delhi. Okay, then we have the Iltutmish. Then we have Razia Sultan, the famous lady who would, the famous woman who would rule the Delhi for the first time. Then Ghiyasuddin Balban, he was famous for being a very strict ruler. Okay, Kutubuddin Aibak, from the term you can understand that Qutub Minar has got the name from the name of the ruler at that time period was Kutubuddin Aibak. He was the founder. After that we have Iltutmish. He strengthened the empire, the Delhi Sultanate. He strengthened it. He made it more powerful. He expanded the area of Delhi Sultans. Okay. He introduced the Ikta system. Now, what is this Ikta system? Ikta system is a special system where how we are paying our different peoples of the king. How is king paying the different people? For example, king has allotted a specific land to that person. That land is called the Ikta, and that person is called Iktadar. So we'll come at this Ikta system later in the chapter. Right now, this person Iltutmish was the person who introduced the Ikta system. There's a famous story that Iltutmish was very upset. He was very in a state where he was not able to decide who will rule after him. So in that confusion, or whatever you will say, he chose his daughter Razia Sultan to rule over Delhi, over the Mamluk dynasty, over the Mamluk kingdom. After being a lady and the first woman who would rule over Delhi, she was succeeded by Ghiyasuddin Balban. Okay, and Razia Sultan was also famous for her courage, for being brave warrior and administrative skills, being a good administrator, being a good queen. Now we have another ruler that came after this Razia Sultan. This ruler Ghiyasuddin Balban was very famous for being a very strict ruler, very powerful ruler. He strengthened law and order, and he made the Sultan's authority supreme. He expanded the power of the king. Okay, so this was the first dynasty called the Mamluk Dynasty. We have completed the Mamluk Dynasty. After this dynasty, we have another dynasty that ruled over Delhi. They are called the Khiljis. Khilji. Who were the Khilji? Khiljis were the second dynasty of Delhi Sultan. They expanded the empire and strengthened the military through strong leadership. Khiljis expanded the empire. Khiljis are also the people who were Turk, like Mamluks. They are also Turk. Okay, so they ruled over Delhi after the Mamluks. We have two rulers given here who would rule over Delhi. First is Jalauddin Khilji, and another is Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin Khilji was famous for being very brutal, very strict, very you can say the term very dangerous type of ruler. Okay, whereas Jalauddin Khilji was totally opposite of Alauddin Khilji. Jalauddin Khilji was known to be a moderate ruler. He did not use so much extreme methods. Okay, he was the founder Jalaluddin Khilji, and after him came Alauddin Khilji. Okay, he expanded the empire to so many Rajput kingdoms, especially in the areas of Gujarat, Rajasthan, and the Deccan. He introduced a very perfect system, I would say, of market reforms where the prices of goods was set to a fixed price. No shopkeeper was allowed to sell a good at a expensive price. Okay, he was very strict. He used to punish those people who did not follow his instructions. Okay, so we will study Alauddin Khilji now. Alauddin Khilji was known as Sikandar Sani. Why Sikandar? Like Alexander, he had expanded the empire to a large area in India. He was famous for his military campaigns. He used to take his armies to large parts, to different distant parts, to capture distant empires, distant kingdoms. Okay, so this is how he built such a large kingdom over India, and even including central India, because central India was not captured easily by rulers. This was not easily to be captured by the different Delhi sultans, but Alauddin Khilji was able to capture this part of India also. Defense, he was famous for defensive practices. He was able to defend the India from Mongol Empire. Now, what is this Mongol Empire? This was one of the largest empires in the whole world. Do you know the name of the ruler called Genghis Khan? Genghis Khan was the ruler who came from Mongolia, and he had an empire over all the blue part that you can see I have highlighted here. All the blue part, except India. Just ignore this part, India. Okay, so all the blue part became a part of Mongolian Empire. So Mongolian Empire is considered one of the largest empire in the whole world. Can you imagine a single empire holding whole of Asia together? So this was a very challenging task to defeat Mongols. And who was able to repel Mongols when Mongols tried to capture India? Alauddin Khilji. He was also the one person who would expand the empire to southern India. His slave general Malik Kafur was famous because he had special techniques, or I would say he was so skilled that he helped the ruler to expand to South India. South India was a part of India which was actually different, very isolated from the north part, because it was very difficult for a ruler to rule over both North and South India together, because of the different geographical condition, because of different conditions that existed in those time period. Okay, so this ruler Alauddin Khilji was able to rule from north to the south of India, including these cities also. Okay, and what was the main objective? Why are they trying to reach till Rameshwaram? Main objective is to earn money, to earn wealth, to get money, to capture the wealth, so that they can manage their finances, they can feed their army, they can pay their army. Okay, so these are the basic reasons why they expanded to such a large area. But apart from being such a perfect ruler, Alauddin Khilji was infamous, or he was not liked by so many people, because he destroyed a large number of Hindu temples and tried to plunder the wealth of the temples, Buddhist temples, Jain temples. Okay, so that is why he was not considered to be a very good ruler. Okay, now we will move on to Tughlaqs. Tughlaq Dynasty. Have you heard the name of the place in Delhi called Tughlaqabad? The city, the part that is named after Tughlaq. Who were the Tughlaqs? Tughlaqs were the third dynasty of Delhi Sultanate. They tried to expand the empire and introduce several administrative reforms. Administrative reforms, in the sense, they tried to introduce different methods of ruling the kingdom, different ways to collect taxes, different types of coins. We'll read all of these things right now. Let's see what are the name of the rulers who were famous. First, we have the Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. He was the founder. He was the first ruler of the Tughlaq dynasty. He came after the Khiljis. Okay, he built the Tughlaqabad fort, as you can see in the picture, and after him came the Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Now this person was very famous, and we try to mock him with different names. We will study why in the next slide. Next, after him, we have the Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Firoz Shah Tughlaq at that time period tried to maintain the kingdom, because the kingdom went into a very turbulent time, in a state where it was breaking away. The nobles were trying to get independent. So Firoz Shah Tughlaq, he was also famous for being very strict and popularizing Islam. Okay, now we will see Muhammad bin Tughlaq, because he is one of the interesting characters in the whole history, I would say, in the history of medieval time period. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, under him, his empire, he was able to capture a very large empire just after the Mauryan Empire, in size, compared to the size. Who was the ruler who was able to capture a large part of India after the Mauryan Empire? He was Muhammad bin Tughlaq, in whose time period India became such a large kingdom. Okay, now why is he famous? Simple reason. He was a person who was very ambitious. He planned many things, but when he tried to implement those things, things did not went as he had planned. For example, he tried to shift the capital of India. What was the capital of India in the sense, what was the capital of India of his kingdom? Actually, the capital was at Delhi. They were called the Delhi Sultans. The capital was here. Now this Muhammad bin Tughlaq, this fellow thought, why shouldn't we shift the capital to center of India, somewhat here in Maharashtra? In this way, if we will shift the capital to Maharashtra, in the central part of India, we will be able to, suppose here is the capital of India, we will be able to manage in the north as well as the south, as well as the west part, as well as the eastern part of the kingdom easily. So he shifted the capital. He ordered all the people living in the Delhi to move to the new capital that he was building. He called the capital as Daulatabad. Daulatabad, in the sense, it will be very rich capital. But people were not happy. Because this people had to migrate to thousands of kilometers away to another city which has another kingdom, another type of status, another type of atmosphere, another type of climate, weather condition. Many lost their lives in the travel time period. And what was the result? The result was that, I have told you, India is protected in this part, and the only part which is open to India is from this side. Attackers or invaders will come from here. So it was important for any ruler or kingdom to be present right here in Delhi, so that he could protect his kingdom from invasions of foreigners. Because he had shifted his capital to the central part of India, it was very difficult to move his armies to north to fight the invaders, as well as to move the army to the south to fight those nobles who were not obeying him, who were trying to become independent. Okay, so that's why after a few years he had to shift, after a few months he had to shift his capital back to Delhi. Okay, that is why Delhi is called Delhi, the Dil. Okay, now we will see the next ruler after Tughlaqs. After Tughlaqs, we have another dynasty called the Sayyid dynasty. So Mamluks are Turk. Khiljis are also Turk, but they follow many cultures of Afghan. And then we have the Tughlaqs who are also Turk. And then we have Sayyids who claim to be Arabs. Okay. They claim their descendant to be from Arabic origin. Okay. Now Sayyid. Sayyid dynasty is the fourth dynasty. They came to power after the decline of the Tughlaq dynasty. The ruler was comparatively weak and they controlled only a small part of the northern India. Okay, Sayyid dynasty ruled over a smaller part of India, but after all they controlled Delhi. Okay, who are the famous rulers? So we have the Khizr Khan. He is the founder and he restored order in Delhi after the invasion of Timur. Timur came after the Mongols. Okay, so Mongol was one of the powerful rulers in Central Asia, and after him we have Timur. After Genghis Khan, okay, Timur came. Now we have Mubarak Shah. He tried to strengthen the kingdom and suppressed several rebellions in those time period, because kingdom was getting large, as well as the rulers were managing so many affairs. They were trying to protect from the northwest, they were trying to control the administration, they were trying to control the finances. The smaller nobles who were controlling the small villages or small parts, they tried to claim their independence. So that's why they are called the rebellions. So in this time period, the ruler wasn't able to rule for more than 6 years or 5 years. That was the near average time period for how much a ruler would rule, because the kingdom was getting so turbulent. Okay, so that's why we call it the medieval time period. Then we have the Lodhis. Lodhi came after the Sayyid dynasty, and they are the first Afghan dynasty. We saw Turk, we saw Arabs, now we are seeing Afghan dynasty. They are the fifth in consecutive row of those who would rule over Delhi, and they would try to strengthen the empire, but they will get defeated by the Mughals. Who are the rulers? We have the Belul Lodhi, first founder ruler. He expanded the kingdom and united many regions. Then we have the Sikandar Lodhi, very famous ruler. He founded the city of Agra. Okay, who founded the city of Agra? Sikandar Lodhi. He promoted agriculture, trade, and efficient administration. Then we have Ibrahim Lodhi. Ibrahim Lodhi is he's the last ruler of the Delhi Sultanate. Question can come, who ruled over Delhi Sultan for the first time? We saw the Mamluk, the Qutbuddin Aibak. Now who ruled Delhi for the last time? He was Ibrahim Lodhi. Okay. Who defeated Ibrahim Lodhi? Babur. Where was Ibrahim Lodhi defeated? He was defeated in the first battle of Panipat. So that's why Panipat is so famous. Okay. So we have completed the Delhi Sultanate. A small thing I forgot to mention, that we also had a slide, 4 slides here. All these rulers, they ruled over Delhi. Then who was the person who was ruling before them? Before them, we have a ruler called King Prithviraj Chauhan, who ruled over Delhi in 1192. He was a Hindu ruler, and after him we see the invasion of these Islamic rulers. Okay. After them, after King Prithviraj Chauhan, these rulers call themselves Sultan. Why Sultan? Because they have a Sultanate. Sultanate means a territory which is governed by a Sultan, and Sultan means a Muslim ruler, a title which shows that they are the ruler. For example, we say Maharaj in Hindi. For Hindu rulers, we have Maharaj, Adhiraj. But in Islam or Muslim rulers, they call themselves Sultan. Okay, so that's why we found that many rulers of Delhi Sultan, they had the name of Sultan in their names. Okay, and their kingdom was called the Sultanate. Okay, and we have already seen the 5 dynasties who ruled over Delhi Sultanate. What was the time period? What was the main characteristic of this time period? We saw that this time period was one of the most politically unstable. There was no fixed kingdom for a specific time period, because kings were fighting with each other, and kingdoms were breaking and becoming larger and then again breaking. Okay, so this was a time period of political instability where nothing was getting permanent at that time period. Everything was getting very temporary. It was also a time period of military expansion, where military was used for expanding our kingdom or empire. After expanding, what did this kingdom, these ruler do? They plundered the cities. What is plundering? Plundering means they are coming, they are attacking a specific ruler. They are taking all the wealth, all the gold, all the jewelries, all the money that the ruler that is defeated with. They take all these things and they take with them. So this is how plundering is done. And even the people, they also take the wealth from the people and they go. So that's why they are called invaders. They come, they plunder, and they go. Okay, what was the main powerful places from where they can gain large amount of wealth? So that place was mainly temples and centers of learning. Temples, the place from where people used to make large donations, the temples where gold was stored, and places like Nalanda or other places of learning, centers of learning, Takshila, these places are called the places of learning, centers of learning. So all these places were destroyed. Then economic divide. In this time period, there was a large economic divide where we have two categories of ruler in those time period. One was the ruler who was rich, and another were those ruler who were very ambitious. They wanted to expand their kingdom, but because they wanted to expand, they would need large amount of army, and if they need large amount army, they will need large amount of wealth. So that's why they plundered. They imposed heavy taxes on the common people, who would do agriculture. And they did something called the slave trade. I have told you what is a slave and what is slave trade. They used to sell the people who were defeated in wars. They sold these people and they earned money. So these were called the slave, and the trade was called the slave trade. And in those time periods, slave trade was quite normal, not only in the Central Asia, but also in India. Slaves were traded actually. Okay, and this time period we also saw that many temples or places of worship was being destroyed. What is the reason? What was the justification that these rulers gave? The justification is that because these rulers came from a religion called Abrahamic religion. Do you know that there are two types of religion in the world? There are two categories of religions in the world. I will say these categories. First is the Abrahamic. Abrahamic religion consists of the Christians, the Islam, and Judaism. Okay, Jews, that they have the symbol like this of a star. So these are the three Abrahamic religions. And the another category of religion is called the Indian religions. Now these religions include Hinduism. Okay, Hinduism. We have Jainism. Forgive me for not making a proper hand, but some symbol like this, a Jain symbol. They have the Indian religions consist also of the Buddhism. So all these are the different religions. This is how we classify the religion, and you will find in Abrahamic religion the statues are not worshipped like, idols are not worshipped like that, how it is done in these religions. So there was a concept called the concept here that is mentioned. It is called iconoclasm. What is this clasm or iconoclasm? This is the rejection of destruction of religious images which is considered idolatrous. Okay, so destruction of idols. You can also see that in your book, our NCERT book mentions the term image instead of idol. Why not idol or icon? Because image is a neutral term. Idol or icon is something which is considered in a negative sense. In these religions called the Abrahamic religion like Judaism, Christianity and Islam, they consider idol worship or icons as something negative. But in India, or I would say the Indian religions, the image is not just a statue. We believe it is a form of murti, it is vigrah, it is pratima. We have a special tradition that is done by which we say that a specific god resides in a specific idol. Okay, so this is why we used a different word for idol, that is image, for Indian religions. Okay, because image is a neutral term. Next, we have infidels. Who are infidels? Infidels are those people who are not from your own religion. They are the people of other religion. So, suppose in the case of Delhi Sultans were Islamic, they were Muslims. Who would be infidels? Infidels would be Jains, they will be Sikhs, they will be Christians, they will be Hindus and Buddhists. So, these are the infidel people, and they believe that by destroying the temples and plundering the wealth of temples, they are doing service to their own religion. Okay, they are trying to destroy the worship of places of worship of infidels. Next, we also find the imposition of jizya tax in this time period. What is jizya tax? This is a tax which is a discriminatory tax. Why we call it discriminatory? Because it is imposed on some people and not imposed on other people. Imposed on some people and not imposed on other people, meaning it is imposed on Hindus or Hindus, Jains, Buddhists, and not imposed on Muslims. Why did the ruler impose this jizya tax? First, there is a historical reason. Historical reason, or I would say the practical reason, because in India we find that majority of the population was Hindus. So ruler would impose taxes, and after so many years this jizya tax became actually a part of land tax. It was viewed as a common tax. It was viewed as a common term for land tax. But the second reason why we have a special name jizya tax, because this tax was imposed for humiliation, financial burden, and incentivizing conversion to Islam, so that those people who do not want to pay the tax, they can convert to Islam, they can become Muslim, then they will not have to pay the tax. So this is the reason why we have jizya tax being introduced in this time period. And these are the religious policies which were adopted by Delhi Sultans. I hope you have understood. And all these things that we are studying here right now is actually actions of the past. Okay, so there is no need to feel any embarrassment or something like that. These are the events of the past. We are today living in a modern world. We do not have to feel any enemy or any conflict with other religion. This is just how history has gone in the past. Okay, now Eastern Ganga Kingdom. We will see, let me just mention here, we are now seeing the resistance. Here we saw how they were the 5 dynasties that ruled over India. They were invaders. They came to India from other country. Now, who were the people who were actually living in India and ruling over India? These are these kingdoms, these dynasties. And these dynasties were those dynasties who would protest, who would resist against the rule by Delhi Sultans. So first we have the Ganga dynasty. Ganga dynasty was ruled in the area over Odisha, that is called the Kalinga, or parts of Bengal, Andhra Pradesh. So Kalinga was the name of the area kingdom where Ganga kings used to rule. They tried their best to resist the repeated invasions by the Delhi Sultans. Okay, they tried to stop the invasions by the Delhi Sultans. Who were the famous rulers? So we have the names of Anantavarman, Choda Ganga Dev. Okay, so he strengthened the kingdom and began the construction of Jagannath temple. This question can come in any GK question, like who named the ruler who started the construction of Jagannath temple, the famous Jagannath temple that is located at Puri. He was Anantavarman. Okay. Then we have another ruler of this dynasty, that is the Narsimhadev. Narsimhadev I. He defeated the Delhi Sultan's governor of Bengal, and he was successful in repelling several invasions, several attacks by the Delhi Sultans. Okay, and he defeated the Delhi Sultan's governor of Bengal. Okay, he built the famous Surya temple at Konark. In Konark, we have a famous temple which is dedicated to sun god, and it was constructed in Odisha by Narsimhadev. So you can learn this. This can come in your MCQ question. So the first dynasty is Eastern Ganga Kingdom, Ganga dynasty. Another is the Munsuri Nayak. As you can understand from the name, these are the people who ruled over the Telangana area in the Deccan. They are the Telugu chiefs. Okay, they are Telugu chiefs, and they resisted against the Delhi Sultans. They united all the local rulers and to protect their homeland. So this is how we can learn that if we are together, we can fight even very large kingdoms, very large empires, one of like Delhi Sultans. Do you know how many rulers or how many kings united to fight? There were around 75 chieftains. They formed confederacy. 75 chieftains are forming confederacy. What is a confederacy? Confederacy is like a group. They are forming a single group, and this group will work together to protect each other from foreign invasions, from foreign attackers, invaders. Okay, and this is the time period when they had to face the fight, and unfortunately they were defeated. They defeated the Delhi Sultan. They defeated the forces, and they successfully expelled Muhammad bin Tughlaq's army from Warangal in Telangana right now. So this is how you can see that if we are united, Indians are united, they could have repelled all the foreign invasions. Next we have Hoysalas. Okay, who were they? Who are the Hoysalas? Okay, they are the rulers of present day Karnataka. Karnataka rulers, they were famous for building very beautiful temples. They had a strong administration and a strong military. They remained the only independent kingdom in South India for a long time, despite repeated attacks. Even though the Delhi Sultans were ambitious, they were trying to come to the south of India to capture the kingdoms. Which kingdom was there to stand on its own foot independently and in a strong position? Who would repel these people? They are the Hoysalas kingdom. Okay, so you can learn from them. Next we have the fourth kingdom that would resist the Delhi Sultans, that is called the Bahmani Sultanate. Again, the word Sultanate, this means that the ruler was actually Islamic. He became one of the famous, this kingdom, Bahmanis, became one of the famous sultanates even after breaking away from Delhi Sultans. So they were actually under the Delhi Sultans, and I have mentioned this, that different small rulers who were under the main king, they tried to become independent. So one of the ruler was the Bahmanis, who would break away from the Delhi Sultan to become independent kingdom. Okay, so who are the famous rulers? We'll come to this, but right now we have the role. What role did they play? They controlled a large part of Deccan Plateau. We will study, if you will study history, medieval history in detail, you will find that Bahmani Sultanate and Vijayanagar Empire, they both tried to fight with each other. Sometimes Bahmani won, sometimes Vijayanagar won, and ultimately they understood that their powers are actually equal. So this was actually like a tie, okay, tie in a competition. So this is the story of Bahmani Sultanate. They challenged the authority of Delhi Sultan, and they frequently fought with their neighbors. I have told you, their neighbors mainly with the Vijayanagar Empire. Okay. Now we will come to the fifth king or fifth kingdom that would resist the attack of Delhi Sultans, the invaders, who were the rulers of Mewar. Mewar is actually a region in Rajasthan. Mewar, a powerful Rajasthan kingdom in present-day Rajasthan, Rajput kingdom in present-day Rajasthan, remained outside the control of Delhi Sultanate. Rajputs are mainly those people who are Kshatriya, okay, who are Kshatriya, and they mainly ruled over the area of Rajasthan. Okay. Important rulers, we have Rana Kumbha, very famous ruler of the 15th century. He built one of the strongest forts. This fort is called the Kumbhalgarh Fort. Okay. He resisted many attacks from Delhi Sultanate and later regional sultanates also. He was one of the greatest ruler of Mewar, and he built the famous fort with so high walls, 36-kilometer long wall. Okay, so we can see that not only China can make walls, India also has some good walls in our past. Then we have Vijayanagar. Now we have completed all the different Delhi Sultans and how Delhi Sultans were resisted by different kingdoms. We now have Vijayanagar Empire. It was also one of the kingdom that would repel, okay, that would break free. How was this kingdom established? So we have a very interesting story. This kingdom was established by two brothers called Harihar and Bukka. These are the two rulers. They actually, there is a story of a hound and how rabbit or something like that, how the small animal could fight with a larger animal. So this came in one of the dreams of one of our main heroes, and this let's study. There is this story where folklore where Harihar and Bukka witnessed a hare chasing a pack of hounds. So there is a rabbit-like animal which is chasing away hounds, dogs. Is it possible really? So this shows that they told this story to their guru, and their guru told them that they have to build their capital at that same special place where they saw this exception happening. Okay. So this is the famous story of how capital of Hampi was chosen for Vijayanagar Empire. Okay. Vijayanagar Empire was actually under the Tughlaqs of Delhi Sultan. Okay, so I have told you Delhi Sultans, Tughlaq were one of the rulers who would expand the kingdom to a very large part of India, to South India. So earlier this Vijayanagar and Harihar and Bukka, they were under the rulers of Tughlaq dynasty. But later they would break free from this kingdom of Delhi Sultanate to set up their own kingdom called the Vijayanagar Empire. Okay. Now we have the political landscape and rivalries. Because this kingdom of Vijayanagar had to face so many neighbors, had to face the rivals. These rivals were mainly the Bahmanis, Bahmani Sultanate. They were one of the rulers who were independent, who gained their independence from the Deccan Sultan, from the main sultans, Delhi Sultans, and they would set up their own Deccan Sultanate. Okay. Apart from Bahmani, we have other kingdoms who would fight with Vijayanagar. They are the Gajapati rulers, Gajapati rulers of Odisha. Now we have a special part that is remaining here. What are these names? What are these showing? These are the 5 independent Deccan Sultanates that were ruled by former governors known as Tarafdars. All of these famous rulers, famous governors, famous areas were actually getting independent from the Delhi Sultans. Okay. After Gajapati, we have understood that we have the Vijayanagar Empire in today's Karnataka area. So we have Gajapati here. We had the Bahmanis in some part of right here, and we have the Gajapati rulers who were in the areas of Odisha. So this is how the rivalry was happening at that time period, how kings were fighting with each other, and how different neighbors were in war with each other. Did you notice that the name of the ruler like Gajapati, there is a term Pati. What is the meaning of Pati? Pati means lord or master. Okay. So there are other examples, other names that we have in India for different positions. For Narpati, we use the term Narpati. Nar means the Nar means the man, and Pati means the ruler. So the ruler of all man. This title Narpati was adopted by Vijayanagar kings. Ashwapati. What is Ashwa? Ashwa means horse. So Ashwapati, the lord of horses. Okay. So this title was adopted by the Bahmani rulers, Bahmani Sultan. Chhatrapati. Have you heard the famous Chhatrapati Shivaji ruler? So this Chhatrapati was adopted by the Maratha rulers. So this is how this term Pati was used for signifying someone as strong, as a powerful ruler. Okay. Next we have the golden age under the Krishna Dev Raya. Raya means Raja. Okay. Raya means Raja. So under the ruler Krishna Dev Raya or Raja, the Vijayanagar Empire reached its zenith. What is zenith? Its peak, its maximum climax at a maximum as at the most powerful position. Krishna Dev Raya expanded the boundaries or borders of the kingdom to a large part of Deccan area. Where is the Deccan area? Deccan Peninsula, Deccan area of India. If you will see the map of India, this is called the Deccan Plateau. Here we have the Deccan Plateau. Okay, so he expanded the Deccan Plateau to he expanded the Vijayanagar Empire to almost the south of India. Okay, next. He focused on Rajniti. What is Rajniti? Rajniti means royal policy, expounding his ideas on good governance within his literary works. So he even wrote literary works, and he tried to share his ideas of Rajniti, or how to govern a kingdom. Okay. We also see a large increase in patronage in this time period. What is a patronage? Patronage is when a ruler gives money to specific poet or painters for their work. Okay, so Krishna Dev Raya used to patronize poets and scholars of Sanskrit, Telugu, Kannada. Okay. He also composed the famous Amukta Malyada. Okay, Amukta Malyada, an epic poem in Telugu which details the story of Tamil poet of Andal. Okay, if you have learned about mm, the famous huh, have you heard of the term Alvars and Nayanars? Okay, so Andal was one of the famous poet saints. Okay, in those time period. Next, architecture and religion. In this time period, we get to see a very advancement in architecture. You will, your homework for today is that you will search for Hampi chariot, chariot which is made up of stone at Hampi. Okay, so there is a chariot which is made up of stone, a single stone. So you can imagine how difficult was it. So this time period witnessed a great advancement in architecture, advancement in religion, making of new temples. Especially we have the Tirupati temple. Special grants were made, money was paid, donated to Tirupati temple. We have the grandeur construction of Vitthal temple, very famous temple in South India. Okay, this temple also has the musical pillars. These pillars, if you will knock on the pillars, it will produce different sounds as if you are pressing a key on a harmonium. Okay, so this is how the architecture was getting advanced in those time period. This time period also saw great advancement in trade. When we say trade, we are referring to trade with foreign also. Foreign people, foreign countries, especially Portuguese, because Vijayanagar traded with the Portuguese. Okay, the relation was a strategically motivated. Why is it strategically motivated? Because king wanted high quality horses. High quality horses are not found in India. High quality horses at those time period were actually imported from countries like Arab. Okay, Delhi Sultans, they became so powerful, they were able to defeat the Indian rulers because of this technique of cavalry. They had a strong cavalry, they have strong branded horses, good quality horses, and that's why they were able to defeat so many Indian kingdoms. So in those time period, the main technique, the king that had strong horses, high quality horses, they would be able to rule over large part of India. Okay, so that's why Krishna Dev Raya, he set up strategic relation with Portuguese, because Portuguese would trade, they would sell high quality horses for the cavalry, for the army, and in return, what will they will get money, they will get special protection from the ruler, and these special horses will not be sold to another kingdom. Okay, the Portuguese will promise that they will not sell these horses to another kingdom. Okay, so this is how a symbiotic relation was built. Okay, now foreign accounts, we have a famous traveler. Who are travelers? Travelers are those people who come to different kingdoms in past, and they write about their whatever they saw, whatever they noticed in the new areas. Okay, so we have a famous Portuguese traveler called Domingo Paes. Okay, Domingo Paes. This Portuguese traveler described the capital to be very large, and as beautiful as Rome. Roman Empire. Do you remember the time period of ancient history? Okay, so Roman Empire was one of the largest empire in the world. Okay, so he compared Vijayanagar cities to the capital of Vijayanagar, Hampi, to the to be as large and as beautiful as Rome. And he described this capital to be very rich in nature, full of trees, plants, gardens, groves of trees, lakes. Okay, And this city was also very densely populated. And when a city is densely populated, it is bustling with the people, market, and goods. So you can imagine how beautiful the city would look, how beautiful the kingdom would look, with so many beautiful architectural designs, so many beautiful canals, water, lakes, gardens. Okay, this is the beauty of the Vijayanagar Empire. Now we see, as you can remember, we were seeing the apex at the topping at the top point when Vijayanagar Empire was at the apex, at the most climax part. Okay, now we will see where when the kingdom would start to decline. Why will the Vijayanagar kingdom decline? Because of so many battles, because of so many wars fought with the people who were their neighbors. They defeated the forces by Ram Raya. There was a battle of Talikot. Talikot was a place where the battle was fought. After the death of Krishna Dev Raya, all the Delhi sultans, they formed a coalition, they formed a common group to challenge the Vijayanagar Empire. So all the enemies of Vijayanagar Empire, they came together, they formed one group to fight together against the Vijayanagar Empire. So you can imagine how difficult would be in those time period, and they were able to defeat the Vijayanagar Empire. Who was the ruler in that time period? He was the Ram Raya. After defeating, as usually happens, the ruler who has won, he will destroy all the cities and all the beautiful places and all the grand things built by the defeated ruler. Okay, so that's why Hampi was destroyed. This beautiful city that even exists today, it was destroyed. We only have a small part of evidences left. Rest, everything was destroyed. Okay, palaces, shops, and sacking was done. Sacked. What is sacked? Plundering was done. Money, gold, silver, coins, all these things were taken by them. Okay, civilian population was massacred. In those time period, there was also a tradition where the defeated kingdom, the people of the defeated kingdom will be killed. They will be executed, they will be massacred. Okay, so that's why we see the decline and fall of the Vijayanagar Empire. Final collapse happened when after this the Nayaks, or the small rulers, started ruling small parts. There was nothing like a large Vijayanagar Empire right now. Finally, at the end of the mid 17th century, we have the Vijayanagar Empire completely ending. Okay, so this is the story of Vijayanagar Empire. In nature, we say that to build anything new, something old needs to be destroyed. So we are seeing this time period when old kingdoms are getting destroyed and new kingdoms are coming. Okay, one of the new kingdom that will come in this time period was the Mughal Empire. Mughal Empire, the famous empire which was set up by Babur. Okay, let us first look at the different rulers who would rule over the Mughal Empire. They are the first is Babur, then Humayun, then Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, and Aurangzeb. As this video is getting a little long, I will create part 2 for studying about Mughals, the different kingdoms that resisted the Mughals, and the administration and people's life. So I hope you understood the story of medieval India, the Delhi Sultans, the resistance, and the story of Vijayanagar Empire. Let's meet in part 2 of this video. Thank you for watching.